Hello Gills fans, welcome back to Gills in the Blood TV. It's Thursday, which means it is match preview day and a look back at the week that, well, wasn't. So yeah, basically myself and Boz looking ahead to what will be a really good game hopefully on Saturday. Really tough fixture. Free scoring Peterborough in town, and obviously the added spice being that Steve Evans is a big fan of them and he's obviously their former manager, gaffer, boss, whatever you want to call him. Yeah, like Boss has already said, in the way of news this week, there's not really anything happening, does there? It's been really, really quiet. I don't think we're going to see any signings now until January, are we? I
don't think we're desperate for anything at the moment.
No, I think if maybe we picked up 2 or 3 injuries or suspension, we might have to look into maybe the free agent market. But at the moment, I think we're just about fine. And if we can get Matty Willett back sooner rather than later, I think we'll be all right. But in terms of what is in the paper this week, Gills on red alert is the main headline in today's Medway Messenger. Gillingham are coming up against League One's most lethal forward line this weekend. Peterborough striker Ivan Toney scored his 10th goal of the season last week, making him the Football League's leading scorer, while Mo Issa has 9 and Marcus Maddison has scored a few too. Marcus Maddison has 6, so between the 3 of them they've got 25 goals. It's frightening.
You said only got 1 other scorer, haven't you?
2 other scorers, I believe. So if you do stop them, then you've got a chance. But it's quite a large if.
Tony scores good goals as well, didn't he? Not tap-ins.
The lob last week was really good, yeah. Superb finish. Remind me of an Ian Wright goal a few years ago against Everton when he was in his pomp at Arsenal.
Maddison can pull one out of anywhere, can't he?
Just out of nothing, yeah. Goals, assists. He's got the lot. And probably the 3 of them are probably playing a level too low, would you imagine?
There must be something with Maddison, because for a couple of years now he's been linked to Championship and no one's taken a gamble on it. There must be something about him.
Yeah, it was sort of him going to Sunderland in the summer, weren't there? Because I think he's from up that way, but it never came off for one reason or another. But we're going to have to be up.
Mo Issa's kind of rediscovered himself, didn't he? It didn't work out for him in the Championship.
Yeah, maybe he jumped 2 levels too quick. If he'd maybe gone League 2, League 1, then Championship.
Sunderland were after him last year, weren't they? And you'd think League 1 would have been the next logical step.
Yeah, but
see why he went to Bristol.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Obviously, it hasn't worked out.
Don't begrudge a kid a move if someone wants him, but I don't think he hardly played, let alone scored at Bristol City for one reason or another. But he seems to have found his feet again in League 1, and like I say, he's only 1 behind Ivan Toney. So, but yeah, stop them 3, and it's just an easy 3 points. Sirike Dembele can't even get in their team at the moment, and he tore us a new one last year at Priestfield, didn't he?
Well.
So it's going to be a case of us probably having to be at our very best, them not quite being at their very best, and we'll go from there. But I think if we show the same sort of application and dedication that we did at Portsmouth last week, because we've not spoke about it, I didn't do a Monday review this week on account of the fact that, well, it was hard drugs. Seems like a really good defensive performance.
Yeah, it does. There's a lot of dogged defending.
Yeah, a lot of
definitely had to dig in, didn't we?
Yeah, and you're going to have to against teams like Portsmouth.
Jack Bonham, by the way, was outrageous, wasn't he? Some of the saves.
Just seems to be getting better and better the more the season goes on at the moment, doesn't he? Which is a good sign for all of us. And 3rd clean sheet of the season was well deserved, but I think the 4 in front of him have been pretty settled. And in terms of
Jack Tucker last week.
Yeah, I was going to say it was one change to that back 4 last week because Barry Fuller missed out through injury and sat in the away end. Sorry, that's my crutches falling over. But yeah, really good performance from the 4 in front of him and the midfield and the front players as well. You can't just do it just through your defenders. You have to work hard from the front, and we did that. I mean, I don't think we created loads of chances, but
that's the kind of team we are this season, isn't it? Unless you're playing Bolton's kids generally, it needs to be solid defensively, because while we'll press, we're not going to score tons of goals, but we will score goals.
But we'll create enough to give ourselves a chance in games if we are staying in football matches, and I think we've done that every game this season aside from Oxford, haven't we?
We have a less said about Oxford, the better.
Yeah. Right. Before we get on to Peterborough in more detail in terms of team news and form, we're going to do a little in focus on a player who, we'll be honest, we didn't rate that highly start of the season, but for me he's getting better and better, got himself inside, and that is this man coming up on your screen now. Stuart O'Keefe, Boz. Like I've just said, we probably weren't his biggest fans at the start of the campaign. Done all right in pre-season. He done all right at Doncaster.
He was underwhelming when we signed him.
You said that was probably the one out of all of them at the time, didn't you? You thought was the least
I
exciting.
didn't think we needed him.
But I think give him credit. He's got back in the side in the last few weeks. He played. When was it he started getting back in? Ipswich, because Alfie Jones missed out with concussion, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he done well that day. And we said Southend was probably
Taking the goal away, it was even without a goal.
it was very good, yeah. And that was probably his best performance. Weirdly, he got dropped against Oxford the week after Ipswich, didn't he? Which was strange because we thought we'd done
I
all
don't know
right
if he
against
got dropped. I
Ipswich.
think it's more a case of Jones was ready to come back
And
in.
just changing the system as well. I think we did.
He came on
slightly.
in like the 91st minute, didn't he?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, very very small run out. So, but then back in the team for the last two, and we've taken 4 points from 6 within the side. So you have to give him credit, and I think he's one of them players. Just sort of estimating him from what I've seen in the brief time he's been with us. I think he's one of them players that needs to be playing regularly. Do you know what I mean? If he's in and out the side, I think he struggles. I think beginning of the season, he reminded me a little bit of Doug Loft. There was like, you could see there was probably a good player in him, but he was almost trying too hard, and for every good thing he'd do, he'd then go and do something a bit silly.
There was a lot of errors at the start of the season, wasn't there?
But I thought he was immaculate against Southend, and like you say, aside from the goal, it was a very good performance anyway. And he keeps it simple. I think he knows what his limitations are. He wins the ball, and then he goes and gives it to those more creative players that can go and hurt teams at the other end of the pitch. Obviously, like you said, you weren't his biggest fan from the moment he arrived. But what have you made of him in the last couple of games?
Ipswich, I kind of just think that was a good defensive display. We were unlucky not to get anything that day. Can't say I noticed him a great deal that game. But Southend, I'd say, even goal aside, he was very good in that first half, even before he scored.
Is that not always a bad thing, though, with players that are meant to just be sitting there mopping up and giving it to others if you're not noticing them? Because they're just doing that sort of quiet work.
I think we said about Paul Smith back in the day, like, you know, you think, oh, don't remember him seeing him do much, but at the same time, you haven't criticised him, so...
Yeah, then you sit down after a game and you go, oh, actually, he done that and he pinched it there and set us off on our way for that goal. Yeah, that type of player, which is...
He's kind of like... so when like Jones or Aim or whoever wins it, he wants it. And we haven't had enough players like that the last couple of seasons that actually want the ball.
Yeah, and I think he's a good leader on the pitch as well in terms of he's vocal, he gets about the pitch, he ain't afraid to put his foot in, and he's probably one of the more experienced players in that squad at the moment because we do have a lot of youngsters. And also, we've got to give him credit. I think he's got 3 goals already this season, hasn't he? He's got 2 or 3. He scored against Southend, scored against Colchester in the leasings.com.
And was it Newport?
Did he score? No, that was Jolly and Hunt. Maybe he's only got 2. Maybe I'm thinking he's got 3. I think he's got 2. But
both good goals as well.
Both really good finishes, yeah. Controlled finish against Colchester when it dropped to him edge of the box. And then, because we spoke about it on the Matchday Live, that goal against Southend, and you said at the time you thought the keeper should have done better. But I think looking back, we sort of...
I think there's players in his way as well.
We was harsh on Oxley a little bit. Not that we shouldn't be, because he was a bit of a knob. But I think we had to give more credit to Stuart O'Keefe. It was a really good finish. He had to sort of dig it out. He couldn't really have much of a back lift, and it's gone right in the corner.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not like it's just gone down the middle of the keeper. It's gone in the corner.
Yeah, and it was a really smart finish. So, yeah, Stuart O'Keefe one to keep an eye on. I think he's really started to pick up his form, and you can't
just quietly going about his business.
Yeah, exactly. And you need players like that, and Mark Byrne and Alfie Jones, people that are just get it, give it, win it, and just let other people go and, you know, try and beat the fullback, get crosses into the box and score goals. That's what you need. It's a good mixture at the moment, and it'll be one to keep an eye on, and fingers crossed he can continue this good form over a longer period of time. But him and everyone else will have to be at their best on Saturday, because as we've already mentioned, this lot arrive in Kent. As we've already mentioned, Peterborough do travel to the Priestfield this coming weekend. Should be a really good game, like we've already mentioned. In terms of form, ours just seems to be 8 out of 18 at the moment. I think for the last 2 or 3 weeks, it's we've won 2, drawn 2, and lost 2 of our last 6 in League One. Peterborough slightly more. They've won 3, drawn 2, and lost 1, so they've taken 11 from their last 18. So that's pretty even. But in terms of home and away, ours is very good. We've played 6 games at home this season. We've won 3, drawn 1, lost 2. So we've taken 10 points from 18 available. Only conceded 2 in our last 4 games at the Priestfield as well, which I think is a good sign. Again, it comes back to that. If we're not going to score loads, we have to be tight, and we're staying in games there. And I think we've just had a tweet sent to us by playmakerstats.com on Twitter. If you're not looking at them, have a look at their website. It's really good. Covers all types of football, world football, English football, lower leagues, Premier League, that type of thing. Only Ipswich have conceded less goals in the second half this season. They've just sent to us to tweet out, haven't they? We've only conceded 3 in the second period in games in the league this season, and we've not conceded a goal in the final 15 minutes. So get that William Mill account open and have a bet on 1-0 Peterborough, last minute winner on Saturday now. I've just said that. But no, all jokes aside, it's a really good statistic, and it means if we are approaching the last sort of 20 minutes of games, we're giving ourselves a real chance of earning something.
We're not just folding, whereas last season, got towards the end of the game and you always felt we're going to concede it.
Whereas now, and I've said in this piece that I've written for Playmakers, that's this week, which hopefully will be out soon. If you want to have a read, you only need 5 minutes, if not, no problem. But you feel now that we can get stuff out of games, whereas, like you said a few times, last season under Lovely, it was almost like, oh, we'll take the 1-0 defeat rather than get bad.
Yeah.
But we are staying in games this season. Aside from Oxford, that's been the only horror show. Even Burton at home, where we were rubbish, but we took the lead. We could still have pinched something out of it because we only lost the game 2-1. But yeah, home and away form, we've done ours. Their away form, they've won 2, drawn 2, lost 2. So theirs is 8 from 18 on the road. But weirdly, for a side that's 4th in League One at the moment, over their last 6, they've not actually put together back-to-back wins. And they're winless on the road in their last 3, conceding 7 in that time. Drew 3-3 with...
Don't make a case that we should feel sorry for them, because we all know about general...
No. We're still going to have to be at our best, because they've scored plenty in that time as well. I think they drew 3-3 at Wickham, but chucked away a lead. So we know they're going to be a threat at one end of the pitch. But for me, Peterborough, I've always said, they're prone to chuck in an absolute shocker from time to time. So it'd be lovely if they want to do that on Saturday. We've already mentioned the top 3 are going to be a massive threat. They then have the likes of Dembele that can come off the bench. They signed some good players defensively to replace those, didn't they?
Keeper in who I've said for a long time we should have looked at.
Yeah, Christy Pym's a good keeper. Frankie Kent, centre half, that they got in from Colchester to replace another player who I really like, and that's that Ryan Tafazoli. But we've got good players as well. We're not spending the same amount of money as them, and we know that. But what we've done is we've put together a decent side with the budget that we've had available, and I think we're super competitive in that division at the moment, and I can't see a campaign where we have to look over our shoulder. I still think we're a little bit off the playoffs, but if we can be in the sort of...
I said 11th at the start of the season.
I said 9th, so we'd take either of them happy. So, in terms of team news for us, slight concerns over Barry Fuller, who missed last week with a calf strain, and also Alfie Jones has picked up a knock, which is a bit worrying, because he's played a big part in obviously everything that we've done well this season. But yeah, and the only other one's Matty Willock, who's still a week or so away, but it says in here Evans is happy that he's, apart from the injury, he's genuinely in good shape. So it'd just be hopeful that he can quickly get him up to speed in terms of match fitness. It's another one. We can't have too many good players available, can we, with the size of our squad? So
it's just, the only thing for me, it's a worry that we're now middle to end of October and he still hasn't played a competitive game for us yet.
He played 45 minutes, didn't he, against Bolton's Children? So and he come off at half time in that, unfortunately. So we can only bear with him.
Maybe one that we don't see the best of for a while.
Yeah, it might be that you look until after Christmas and getting the best out of him.
Minutes. I know it says in the paper we had a behind closed doors game this week against Dover.
Yeah, they played their first team. We played a load of kids and got smashed by all accounts. It doesn't say the score, but it's not good games. Did it say 5?
I read that.
Well, it just says in here they beat us comfortably.
That's it.
Unless it was on Twitter, I've not seen anything though. So, but yeah, we took a beating, but them games are just to get people some minutes in the leagues. Team, what would you go for? Goalkeeper, obviously.
Again, it depends on Barry, doesn't it? Jack Tucker's not done anything wrong yet, I don't think.
So it'd be the same back four if Fuller's available. If not, Tucker over Hodgson, I think.
I think Lee Hodgson's going to be out the door in January.
I don't know about that, but I just think that Tucker's just played himself into contention at the moment. But
Hodgson is barely making the 18, isn't he?
It's a fair point, yeah, I suppose. We want to keep an eye.
Usually you'd have 2 defenders on a bench, 2 midfielders and 2 strikers, wouldn't you? Quite often this season we've just gone with Jack Tucker as defensive cover.
The only risk would be that if Garmston leaves, then you might need to keep Hodgson, because that would give you Tucker, Hodgson, O'Connor and Fuller that can play at fullback. But something to worry about in January, yeah. So Fuller, Amar, Ogilvie, O'Connor if Barry's fit. If not, Tucker comes in at right back. I'd go with the diamond.
Yeah,
I'd like us to play 2 up front. I don't think we can sit back against Peterborough and try and soak it up for 90 minutes. I think we're going to have to try and have the ball and get at them. and see how they cope with us. So I'd go, if fit, Alfie Jones at the base of the diamond, Stuart O'Keefe and Mark Byrne from the sides, and I'd bring in Ollie Lee this week and take out Alex Jakubiak, and my front two would be Hanlon and Njoli.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what I would do.
But then if Jones doesn't make it, I would then maybe go to a 4-2-3-1. So I'd then use O'Keefe and Byrne as the pivot, Lee in the 10, Hanlon through the middle, and then Njoli and Jakubi out wide again, similar to what they did last week at Pompey.
Yeah.
And then again, the bench depends on who's fit. So if everyone's fit, my bench should be Walsh, Tucker, Cisse, Pringle, Mandron, Marshall, Jakubiak.
Pretty much all the players we have, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. There's obviously, like we say, with Willock and the two being doubtful, that's pretty much the 18-19, isn't it, at the moment, aside from kids. Right. Big question.
I was thinking about it earlier, and I think they will score just because they're that good.
Yeah.
So I will go for a 1-1, and I'll go for a Mikel and Jolly goal.
See, I'm torn, heart and head. Again, I agree with Boz. I think they'll score. Not because we're poor defensively, but just because
they're that good.
The sheer volume that their front three create and do put in the back of the net. Or I'll be more positive. I'm going to say an entertaining. Again, it's a big if. We have to be at our absolute best. We cannot switch off at all. I'm going to say 2-1 Gills. Goal scorers, Hanlon. And I'm going to go for Stuart O'Keefe to get another one.
He doesn't do tappies, does he? So
but I'd happily take the 1-1. Right, that is enough from us. We're going to go and play a little bit of FIFA. I need to get my leg back up and iced because it's starting to hurt. We will see you Saturday for Match Day Live, barring any disasters with myself. It is all three of us this week.
Yeah.
Yep, so it is myself, Boz and Stocky for Match Day Live. Come and say hello before the game if you want to. You know where we are, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And until next time.
Just before you do, thanks to the people who commented on the Gills YouTube video. That same video with Rob McCarthy.
Yeah, the ex-Sky Sports bloke.
Before looking at any comments, just in the first couple of minutes, I thought this is a bit cringy. Rob doesn't really know what he's doing. He called it a podcast, a blog, a vlog, a vlag, I think.
A blag.
That was it. And then it wasn't great, to be honest. And scroll down to the bottom of the comments, and there's umpteen comments saying that it would have been better if it had been the three of us. So thanks for that.
Yes, I do appreciate that. Obviously, we do appreciate all types of feedback. We take it on board if you think there's stuff that we can do better. But yeah, it was nice.
It's something we'd like to do, but at the moment it's not possible.
Hands are tied. That's the trouble. Plus, we've already interviewed Max Homer. Just saying. Anyway, until next time, up the Chills.